All right, let's call to order this meeting for Monday, December 22nd. Jordan, would you start us off with the roll call?
Please respond by stating present. Councilmember Ronayne.
Present.
Faubourg.
Present.
Liebelt.
Present.
Ward.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Econger.
Present.
Nilsson.
Present.
Norvstrup.
Present.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Present. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I do have some modifications to this week's agenda. The first one would be to add an executive session to the end to talk about some legal counsel reviewing communication about proposed pending litigation or contractual matters. And then there's two typographical issues, it seems as though. Jordan, would you just quickly explain what items 6C and 7E are at a glance?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Item 6C, the title within the distributed agenda packet incorrectly lists it as the previous item, but the content within the agenda packet accurately describes it as an ordinance setting fees and charges for 2026. So we're requesting a change of the title simply that's listed on the agenda. As for item 7E, we have prepared and distributed an alternate version of Resolution 251205R, which distributes additional contingency funds for items described as turbo redemptions on TIF 19 and 26.
All right, so I take a motion to approve the agenda with those modifications.
So moved.
Got a motion from Councilman Econger, second Councilman Novstrup. Anyone have any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, which took place on December 15th. I'd take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Nelson, second Ward. Anyone have anything on the minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Consent calendar has 5 items today. Take a motion to approve our consent calendar items.
Move to approve A through E on the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion Liebelt, second Econger. Anyone have anything to state or any questions for any of these items? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We've got 3 items in our old business segment of this meeting. The first is the second reading and final adoption of an ordinance titled 25-1201 that consolidates the financial reporting into general fund and supplementing the 2025 budget for unanticipated projects, transfers, and activities. We took a positive vote on this last week. Jordan, any changes or anything new to discuss?
Thank you, Mayor. There are no changes. I would add that we did run this past the South Dakota Department of Legislative Audit, and our auditors both provided recommendation to approve and complete as we've presented. Staff recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, got a motion from Councilman Ward and a second Councilman Nelson. And there's no discussion from the council. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Foberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Nordstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, possible second reading and adoption of an ordinance titled 25-1202 that supplements Parks, Rec, and Forestry 2025 budget. Jordan, anything new on this one?
Thank you, Mayor. No changes. Staff recommends approval as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion Johnson, second Ward. Any final thoughts? Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote on that second reading then, please?
Councilmember Nordstrup.
Aye.
Nilsson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Foberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Aye, motion carries. Third and final item on our new business, or excuse me, old business segment is possible second reading and adoption of our ordinance 25-0104. This is the one that was changed in, I guess, the modification, setting the fees and charges for certain city services provided by the City of Aberdeen for 2026. It was just a typographical error in the original agenda that has been changed. Take a motion for that second reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion Econger, second Johnson. Extensive discussions on some of those items within those fees and fines yesterday. Anyone have, or last week, I guess it was already. Anyone have anything to relay here before we take a vote? Jordan?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Foberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Nilsson.
Aye.
Nordstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next is our new business segment of the meeting. The first item is our public hearing and possible approval of a resolution. This authorizes an application for financial assistance, authorizing execution and submittal of an application designated to authorize representative to sign payment requests, and we do have a special guest to walk us through a little bit of that. But Jordan, why don't you kick us off before we kick things over to Leslie?
Thank you, Mayor. What we have before us today is a loan application for basically the remaining funding to complete the water reclamation plant as bid. We've had to divide this loan into 3 asks because it's exceeded available funding in each year. So this is the way Danner has recommended, and this is what we're proceeding with. This evening, we're joined by Leslie Ann Palmer, who is a grant specialist at NECOG, the Northeast Council of Governments. I'll let her take the lead from here.
Welcome, Leslie. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. As Jordan mentioned, I'm Leslie Ann Palmer from Northeast Council of Governments. We're here asking for the last $16,198,000 needed to complete the improvements for the wastewater treatment facility. This will be the third and final application. Since it's going to be probably all loan, it'll be for 30 years at a 4% interest rate. That DNR requires 110% debt capacity for Aberdeen to collect from users, which averages out to be about $8.93 per user. DANR also knows that Aberdeen is looking at restructuring their rates, and Banner included that in the rate proposal that you guys received from them. This is a final application for funding, and it includes $4.5 million in contingencies. If Aberdeen were not to request the full amount, the loan would be based on the amount requested. So, any questions?
What was that interest rate?
4%.
Thank you.
Anyone from the council have any further questions? Great explanation, Leslie. No questions whatsoever. So Jordan, our city's take would be to pass this resolution then, obviously.
Sure. So we opened, and we should probably close the public hearing to authorize, well, related to the application itself, and the next act would be to approve the resolution. Approve the resolution authorizing that grant application.
And it also authorizes Dave to be the signer for the application, as well as all draws.
All right. That's all within that motion. I don't need to take a motion and a vote on closing the public forum. We can, of course, just take a vote on the resolution itself, which will approve those application and authorizations. Someone care to make a motion on that?
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Nilsson, second Councilman Ward. Any final thoughts before we take our vote on this one?
Mr. Mayor?
Final piece of the puzzle here. Rich, what have you got?
Just curious, so making sure I'm understanding everything here, we're looking at doing the 8.93 recommendation. Would we have, am I understanding that correct, the highlighted yellow piece here?
The highlighted amount would be the average rate per user.
Yes.
Because the way DANR works is they want you to collect 110% to make sure that you have enough to offset any loss of users during the year.
Okay.
And so this is the amount that Banner worked into the projected rate structure that was discussed a couple weeks ago.
And then just to follow up on that, this is just solely allocated towards Aberdeen wastewater only. There's no other funding for water infrastructure we're talking about in this, correct?
Nope. The remaining amount for the wastewater treatment facility is $16,198,000. But like I said, that's $4.5 million in contingencies as well. And if the as-bills come in less, the loan will be for the amount that is used.
Yep. Perfect.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation. Leslie, thanks for your question. Rich, so that $16 million was just the final bit of this $92 million puzzle, which we'll all be glad to see completed. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote then on the resolution, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Nilsson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Boberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks for joining us, Leslie. Next, we've got our Aberdeen Area Convention and Visitors Bureau marketing presentation. Here with that is Casey Wiseman. Casey, you can take as much time as you need. Don't apologize for your time. We're glad to have you here, and we're glad to learn what you've got to show us.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. Looking at our 2025 year-to-date marketing update, that would be encompass our vacation marketing and our hunting marketing. We separate those out on our end and just kind of bring everything together to give you an update on what's been going on. Is that going to be too big, do you think?
Just a second, we're
Okay,
loading.
sorry.
We don't have anything.
My screen doesn't work either.
We didn't get any materials, did we?
No.
I think we might have had it emailed out. Is it the same? Our screens aren't working.
It's the email I sent out. All the information was loaded to your secure page for the city council. It's just if you look, it's kind of the one that's highlighted in blue, if you can find that. Yeah, thank you.
We've got it loaded on the screen above.
Okay.
Our screens don't work.
Oops. So our team, obviously comprised of myself, Cindy Topol, who does our financials, Catherine Grandstrand Quayle, and Philip Jordan. Philip being new to our team, they handle our social media, our print marketing, and our convention services. And then Amy Lake Harmon, who is in addition to the staff, she is our administrative assistant, works part-time. Our mission, vision, and focus, and I know a lot of you have heard this in the past. I just wanted to bring this out for our new city council members in case they have any questions. Our mission is to enhance the well-being of the Aberdeen region. Our vision, a robust and engaged community that welcomes visitors and gives a positive experience and benefits the regional economic growth. Our function, to increase the amount of visitor activity in Aberdeen with the emphasis on an overnight stay. Again, the Aberdeen CVB is the only organization fully dedicated to increasing the BBB Aberdeen promotional tax. Our table of contents, what we'll discuss tonight. Again, kind of a recap of what we've presented in the past. Our visitor traffic, we go after our visitor traffic with direct marketing, paid marketing, organic marketing. You can include digital in there and social media as well. Our vacation, our target vacation, our target visitors are outside of the 100-mile radius of Aberdeen. We entice the visitor to come and attend events in Aberdeen with the overnight stay being our focus. And why I mention that 100-mile radius is other organizations like the Downtown Association, the Chamber, maybe even a little bit of the Development Corp. Their focus is inside of that 100-mile radius, bringing those entities to Aberdeen with that strong regional sale. All of our marketing starts at that 100-mile radius and goes farther. So if I had to, which I've explained to, kind of a dartboard scenario, the Downtown Association being the bullseye, the Chamber being all of the numbers on the dartboard itself being the Development Corp, and then we are everything, including the wall behind it. So that's our primary focus, is our marketing starts at that 100-mile radius, and we push that as far as we can. Hunting marketing, we market to Aberdeen to hunters as a regional destination for pheasant hunting in South Dakota. That really, in all honesty, for the last few years has sold itself, which makes our job a lot easier. Can't quite read that top one there, Jordan, but this is our website analytics. We have, for the website, this is on the vacation side of things, 91,000 users, 89,000 of them were new users, with pages per user being just under 4 pages, receiving 359, almost 360,000 views. The top pages being the homepage, Aberdeen area events, which you've heard me plug and play, free to submit, free to promote. That is our battle cry for when it comes to helping promote events held in Aberdeen. That's our calendar of events. And then play and plan your vacation visitor guide. Those kind of went hand in hand. That plan your trip vacation visitor guide, that's people requesting our printed copy of our visitor guide be mailed to them. On the hunting side, website analytics there, 47,000 users, 46,000 of them being new, 2.5 pages per user, 114,000 page views. Again, homepage, hunting guide, again, requesting that information. And then information on outfitters and public hunting. Those were the options there. So you can see as we're typically throughout the year, we have strong engagement through our website. And once they're at the website, they're diving deep, trying to grab that information. This is some of our marketing campaigns for vacation marketing. We had 15 campaigns garnering 16 million plus impressions. 2 billboard campaigns, 3.4 million impressions. Digital, 3 campaigns, 2.2 million impressions. Radio, 3 campaigns, 3 million impressions. Podcast, which was kind of new for us this year. Podcast is kind of a new trend. We had 1 campaign, just under 200,000 impressions. Video, 2 campaigns there, 500,000 impressions. And email, the email being the biggest organic push that we do out of the office. That's our newsletter that Catherine pushes out twice a month. 27 campaigns, 650,000 impressions with a 27% open rate. That's really good if you look at the industry standard, and then a 0.76% click rate. Vacation social media, our Facebook still being the #1 avenue where people find us and engage with us. Followers at 18,614. 690 more followers, views, just under 3 million views. Instagram, 2,400 followers, gained 285, 73,000 views. And again, social media is one of those things it's free to utilize for a marketing resource until you start paying boosting some of those promotions. But for the most part, it's a great way to immediately engage of what's happening and what's going on. Catherine does her weekly videos. Hi, this is Catherine, with way more energy than I have. Just enticing people to come and see what there is to do this weekend. Philip hits us with that old school vibe of the Aberdeen Out and About. Anybody remember that? The printed Aberdeen American News. We brought it back. So we're really utilizing that as our biggest resources. These are the things that are happening this weekend. So please don't miss out on those. Hunting marketing, we had 11 campaigns with 3.2 million impressions. Digital, 3 campaigns with 1,000,001 impressions. Video, 3 campaigns, 5,500,000 impressions. 2 podcasts there. Those podcasts were free for us, which was great. 443,000 impressions. And the email campaigns, this is Casey sending out an email. Come pheasant hunting. Here are the bird numbers. Here's what the weather looks like all throughout the year. 29 campaigns, 500,000 impressions, almost 38% click rate or open rate with a 2% click rate. That's really good for industry standards. So again, we utilize our digital, print, social media, podcast, video, emails. We try to put our stamp on all of those. Hunting social media, Facebook again, primary users, 9,400 followers. Gains 776 with almost 1.4 million impressions. Instagram, 1,500, almost 1,600 users, 309 gained, and 32,000 impressions there. Again, that's social media marketing, whether it's vacation or hunting. We're using that to the best of our ability. How do we track visitors that come to Aberdeen? I know I've reported on this in the past. I'm just wanting to slow this down a little bit for all of City Council members so they can get a full understanding. Anytime a guest rents a hotel in Aberdeen, they pay a $2 fee. That's added to their hotel room. We track that $2 fee. All of the hotels in Aberdeen report monthly that $2 fee to the city of Aberdeen. Jordan does his magic to tabulate those dollars and reports them back to the Hotel Alliance. But that is our best way to gauge visitor traffic, that $2 fee of visitors coming and spending the night in Aberdeen. Again, going back to our mission and our primary focus, that overnight visitor is key to us. So that $2 fee, that is collected throughout the year. The room occupancy at times can carry 1 to 3.5 people attending events. One person may be coming to a conference or a convention, a sporting event, bringing that family, 3.5, sometimes more, but 3.5 is a safe estimate there. In 2025, that's a tongue twister. In 2025, the occupancy fee is slated for a 10% increase over 2024. And that's year to date. And right now I have only slated through, I do not have November and December reporting. So I took the 10-year average, and actually I just took last year's numbers and repeated them exactly. Nothing higher, nothing lower, just to relatively finish out the year to report that to you. But if everything slates the way it will, and our numbers reporting the way they are, I do see an increase. But estimated, we're looking at about a 10% increase over 2024 for occupancy. How does that break down? That breaks down to 17,437 more hotel rooms rented year to date in 2025 over 2024, or 1,453 hotel rooms each month. And I broke that down farther. In 2024, the occupancy was 4.53% increase over 23. 23 was a 0.15 increase over 22. 22 was a 0.90% decrease from 21. And in 2021, the occupancy was 18.62% over 2020. So I tried to go back all the way to COVID. And I don't want to talk about COVID anymore, so let's just move past that. But you can see how those numbers trend. We gain slowly until big events happen, and then you can see how those numbers jump. And then again, we do collect a 10-year average to kind of give us those highs, lows, room availability, events, and weather can all play a factor on those numbers. We haven't had winter for the last 2 years. But, you know, those mild winters and being able to host events and travel, making it a little easier, those numbers stay on the positive side of things, and that's where we want to be. Looking at the trends, occupancy compared to the rest of the state or region. Aberdeen is the red line, the Northeast region is the green line, and the yellow line is the statewide. I just got November's numbers, but I have January through October when I was slated to present. So you can see how those numbers lay out. Everybody knows what those dots are, right? Well, we'll go to the next slide. Aberdeen, January through October, you can see how our occupancy was running from 53%, 54, 63, 63, 65, 77, 77, 78, 77, and 80. Our November numbers come in at like 78.5. So, I mean, you can see we're still gaining high. You can see how that relates to the rest of the state. Aberdeen versus the Northeast region, Aberdeen versus statewide averages. Our occupancy is trending really good in Aberdeen and the Northeast part of the state. Any questions on occupancy tax before I move on? Anybody have any?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I have a question about just the impressions and.
Yep.
Do we know what the return on investment is on any of these impressions? Like, are you using Placer AI or any data to actually confirm that?
Yep,
folks
we
are
do.
coming?
We do use Placer AI, and these are impressions given to us by our marketing companies that we partner with. For instance, if we're going to market a print campaign, they tell us what the cost is going to be. They tell us what their readership is going to be. They tell us what their monthly impressions are. We have to go off of the information they give us. But we do use Placer AI. I'm not sure if I added that in the report here. I did not. But I do have that information as well. So we do track Aberdeen as a whole, the boundary of Aberdeen. And then we look at that information and we weigh it against, again, we don't mark anybody inside the 100-mile radius, even though some of those are visitors and they may spend money here and they may spend an overnight. But our focus is that 100-mile radius. And then we look at how much time do they spend here. We really don't want to count anybody under 60 minutes. And you can break that down to somebody who spends less than 10 minutes isn't counted, or you can go farther out as far as time frame. But we do use Placer AI very much when it comes to tracking events and tracking those visitors, yes.
Were those impressions the last quarter, or were those for the year to date?
Those impressions are year to date, yes.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
So what do we know from Placer AI? Is attendance going up in some of our events, or?
Yes, it depends on the event, and it depends on room availability and the time of year. Weather plays a portion of that as well. But Placer AI is new to us. We have it new this year. We don't really have it. Even though when you look at an event, you can place it against the event itself for the last 3 years. But that information, the Placer AI platform is brand new to us. We really don't have that base to compare it against to.
Okay.
But we will, yes. Yep. We like to really track Aberdeen as a whole. You know, looking at the visitors, we take out the residents, we take out the employees. We don't count any of them. We count that visitor that comes from that outside of that 100-mile radius that comes to an event throughout the year. I can go the whole calendar year, or I can look at each individual event individually, or I can look at the whole year. But we look at that 100-mile radius out, and they have to spend at least 60 minutes to get a hard look. Yes. That answer your question? Hopefully.
In a year or two, probably.
And I'll have more of that, and I could easily provide that. I think on your sheet, on your guys' platform, there is information there on Placer AI, and I believe I did do that. I just didn't bring it for this meeting, so I apologize. But I believe the information is there, looking at Aberdeen as a whole.
Mr. Mayor?
Sorry.
Just a quick question, Casey.
Yeah.
So the looking at the hotel occupancy comparison, am I understanding this right, that Aberdeen has 80% hotel occupancy in the month of October?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yep. Given to us by the STAR report through South Dakota Tourism, yes.
Would these numbers indicate that that maybe Aberdeen could sustain another hotel, or any insight on that at all, being so high?
Looking at our trends and what we have in the foreseeable future with Applied Digital and other entities looking at utilizing Aberdeen as a resource for accommodations, I would say yes, absolutely. For us, when we're looking at events, hosting events in Aberdeen, we're going to have some, looking at these numbers, this is just 2025, but looking at these numbers, they're sustaining or they're actually going up, is going to make our job challenging when it comes to hosting events. Because some of those events, we have to guarantee that there are enough hotel rooms available in order for us to even submit a bid to host. And then if we're awarded that bid to host, then we have to follow up on our end of the bargain.
Well, thank you. Just a comment, if I could. It sounds like Aberdeen is really prime, ripe for more events, and maybe ripe as well to land another hotel to keep on this occupancy. This is really incredible numbers.
And we do track that information as well. We have an internal database of all our leads and conventions and sporting events that we host throughout the year. And that goes all the way out right now on paper, all the way out to 2029. South Dakota Republican Party in 2028. I mean, we track all of that throughout the calendar year. So there's future business on the table. It's just whether or not how fast we could build something, I guess.
And that probably highlights why it's important when people are looking at hosting events in
Yes.
Aberdeen, come directly to you.
Come to us first.
Advise when they're going to work best on the calendar to help forecast. So thank you very much.
Yep, please.
Talbot, your question.
Yeah, I was wondering back on the, well, I had two questions actually. Back on the impressions and that you had impressions broken out to hunting marketing versus other marketing.
Yep.
Is the hunting a subset or is that in addition to?
It's in addition to.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then-
So you could take both of those campaigns and combine them or add them together, however you'd like. Yep.
And then I was wondering about the, well, it kind of back to that, the trends we were just talking about. The, I guess, do we have a take for how much of the occupancy is driven by projects versus events? I mean, like Applied Digital, for example.
Yeah, I don't really have a hard handle on that. We treat everybody as a visitor, whether they're here for Applied Digital, they're here for a reunion or sporting event. To us, they're all visitors first. But that's why I added this feature in there. There was 17,000 more hotel rooms in 2025 year to date than there were in 2024. So some of that has to be with Applied Digital staying with us. I would love to take credit for all that, but I'm not going to do that. So. And to go back to your other question, the reason why we have it split out vacation and hunting, vacation, is a lot of entities in South Dakota cities, they don't get to benefit from having a 4-season destination where Aberdeen does. We have sporting events in the springtime, vacation, summer traffic in that second, third quarter. And when that third quarter hits, a lot of other communities, they shut off. They don't have anything to market. Well, we have the fall hunting outdoor opportunities to carry us through it. So that's why we split it into two.
Sure. Okay. Appreciate it.
Two pretty distinct audiences.
Right.
Land for storybook land versus.
Actually, can I ask one more?
Yeah, please.
There, in the past year, I've heard repeatedly, I guess, various celebrities coming to hunt in the neighborhood. I was just curious, do we ever know that ahead of time, or is there any way to capitalize on that?
Yes,
This is where they live.
Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. Yes. Okay. Post Malone, he was here allegedly. No, he was here hunting at one of the hunting lodges that we work with. I was privy to it, but that hunting lodge had to sign an NDA, so that pretty much tied my hands too.
Sure.
I asked for photos and videos to have a little fun with it after the fact, and nope, can't do it. So. Taxable receipts and SIC codes, we'll touch on that. That's the standard industrial classification. If everything you can think of or dream of up in this world has an SIC code attached to it somehow. And we track eating, drinking, and lodging, eating, drinking, which is basically your triple B or your promotional fund. That's why we track that information. Lodging being 7011, eating 5812, and drinking 5813. For 2025 SIC codes, these are taxable receipts on spending that is happening in Aberdeen that the city of Aberdeen reports to the state of South Dakota. These aren't our numbers. I can't touch these numbers. These are just numbers that are reported that we track. And again, we track lodging, eating, and drinking. In 2025, the SIC codes or taxable spending is slated for an 8.52% increase. In 2024, we were at 3.73%. So again, money's being spent. Could some of that be inflation? Chances are some of that is, but still, it's money that's being spent in the community. And again, we're tracking those three entities: lodging, eating, and drinking. Any questions on SIC codes? Aberdeen area events, you've heard me preach it. Free to submit, free to promote. Please get us your information. These are some of the bigger events that we touch upon, whether it's be giving visitor packets to, providing room blocks or special room rates, or a shout out on social media, or a video on behalf of Catherine, or finding special hotel or room accommodations at NSU. But we have BMX Gold Cup Nationals, South Dakota State Bees, girls softball, clay target, soccer, Dome Days baseball, Arts in the Park, Family Fun, Storybook Land Festival, swim, softball, YMCA, Special Olympics, hockey, Midwest Wrestling Championships, NSU homecomings, meetings, conventions, family reunions, and such. These are all of the events that we have to try to schedule in this internal database. We have to try to schedule, but not try to schedule on top of each other. These are the events that I have to guarantee that we can get hotel rooms for, and people are going to come and visit and experience Aberdeen and be happy and have a positive experience. These are all the challenges that we have throughout the year. When the phone rings, the phone stops with us. Actually, it doesn't. When the phone rings, then I call the hotels. But other than that, it stops with us. So this makes our life challenging throughout the year. To answer Rich's question, would one or two more hotels alleviate some of that pain? Absolutely, it would. It'd make our job a lot easier. We understand the hotels are full. They love to be busy. Sometimes finding workers is a challenge and such. But we're here to try to offset that challenge and keep those hotel rooms full. But these are just some of the larger events that we're reporting on. We have a database of 750 leads that we work every year. But these are just some of the larger events that you guys recognize in the community. Aberdeen Hotel Alliance, again, the Aberdeen Hotel Alliance is kind of its own separate entity. They get their funding from the $2 occupancy fee that a guest pays when they rent a hotel room. Again, that money is tabulated. That money goes to Jordan. Jordan does his magic, sends it back to the Hotel Alliance, and that's what they use for their operating expenses throughout the year. These are some of the entities that come to the Hotel Alliance and request funding. The requirements are they have to try to improve their event. They have to have a strong focus on an overnight stay. And really it's just a matter of, without the partnership of these organizations, events just don't happen by magic in Aberdeen. So it takes volunteers, it takes the host organization to host these events throughout the year. And the Aberdeen Hotel Alliance helps them by providing monetary incentive, whether it's the cost of bringing in tournament officials or renting lighting or porta potties or whatever it might be. Whenever an organization has expenses associated to hosting an event, the Hotel Alliance is trying to be there to help offset those expenses. I know Chad is new to the board and he's learning as well, but it's a dance on whether or not you can fund all these events at a given time. They'll come with an ask. We look at the numbers through Placer AI. We look at those true numbers of who visitors are, how long they stay, where they come from. And then the Hotel Alliance board makes a determination on how much they want to fund, help offset the cost of that expense. So in 2025, they have slated year to date to spend just about $79,000 on event sponsorship. And that is designed, again, to help establish those events for 3 to 5 years. And once they hit those 3 to 5 year mark, they're kind of asked or looked upon to stand upon their own. But there's names on this list that have been coming to the Hotel Alliance for the past 12 years. But they host events. They bring in those visitors. They bring in those overnight stays. Some of them are really strong, like Aberdeen, Hub City Soccer. They moved their events to the Dome So now they can host those events in January and February instead of taking a spot a weekend in June. Well, now that weekend in June, I can help Aberdeen Hardball find their home for the weekend. And really, it's a lot of moving pieces, but when we can coordinate those throughout the calendar year, these are some of the events that benefit from that. So the Hotel Alliance also paid out about $122,000 in advertising as well on behalf of Aberdeen. They partner with South Dakota Tourism. They spend $40,000 with tourism. They get a $40,000 match. That's one avenue. And then they also place print, digital, social media, paid advertising as well on behalf of Aberdeen. So again, they're an arm of us. I remember who asked that question. They're kind of an arm of the CVB, but we utilize their funds to help market the city as well. Visitors that come to Aberdeen, this is probably my favorite part. I'll let you guys kind of read those. Returning to Oz, had a wonderful time last summer. Our favorite was the Humpty Dumpty roller coaster in Old McDonald's barn. Trying something new, never been to the Dakotas, learning about L. Frank Baum history. This was one of my kids' favorite trips. We love Storybook Land, and especially the Wizard of Oz and Levity. Sightseeing, golfing, and hunting. That's a good order, actually. New developments, entertainment options, and visiting lifelong friends, friendly Midwest environment. Looking forward to the shop, scenery, planning a summertime vacation to South Dakota, and going to bring my grandchildren to see Storybook Land as I did when I was a child. And then vacation, relaxing, food, drinks, and fun. That's what the visitors are saying about us. And we really take that to heart. We go out to Wiley Park and Storybook Land at times. We meet these visitors face to face. We hand them some visitor packets, which have coupons in them. They can go out to Wiley Park and Storybook Land and really have a little bit of extra fun. But we take this to heart. These are the same visitors that we greet at the travel shows that we go to. Sioux Falls, Bismarck, Fargo, Minneapolis. These are the same visitors that we're talking to a table right across the aisle. So we're getting that face-to-face on what they're looking forward to and what they're keying in on. So we're excited. We're excited about that. Some related photos, the Aquatic Center, Dakota Prairie Museum. That's my parents, actually. Storybook Land, the Heart out at Storybook Land, Teacup Ride, and just the castle itself. There's so many things to see and do. Aberdeen is really a true destination for vacation, affordable vacation travel, and then that hunting marketing. So with that, I say thank you, and if anybody has any questions, I'd love to try to answer them.
You're throwing a lot of those statistics out about the viewership and impressions and so forth.
Yep.
Are those numbers generally moving upwards, or where do we stand compared to previous years?
Well, I didn't have the full year to report to give you that hard number against last year, but they're basically standing mid-level or slightly increased. We see that as a positive. Again, we're going off of the marketing agencies we work with, them telling us their reach and their impressions, but modifying those campaigns throughout the year. Catherine does an excellent job reporting that information on a monthly basis. My job is to just put that all together and tabulate it for you guys for a year-end review. So I would say those numbers are tracking positive, yes.
And then aside from a new hotel, anything else that you guys need over there, Casey?
I hate to hit the broken record of the hotels, and and the Hotel Alliance, they do an excellent job on what they do, funding events
and build a hotel. From what I gathered from this conversation.
What's that?
I think Rich is going to build a hotel.
Absolutely.
Based on this conversation, so
no, it's it's a matter of what they do. They do an excellent job when it comes to meeting those guests. They are the frontline employee when those guests arrive to Aberdeen. So sometimes they're the first impression or the last impression, but they do an excellent job on what they do. I know it is challenging at times to find workers and such, but with the events that we are hosting throughout the calendar year, and with the positive industrial improvement happening in and around Aberdeen, I think Aberdeen is prime to move to the next level. I truly do. So to answer your question, yes, I'd love to see one or two more.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Anyone else have anything for Casey? Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Very in-depth, and appreciate you also emailing. We'll be digging into those numbers a little bit later,
and
too.
Does that website work for everybody? I hope you're able to gain access to that. And we try to put the information on there in a timely fashion, so for review.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, public hearing, possible approval of the retail on-off sale malt beverage and wine license, as well as a retail on-off sale wine and cider license for Pops Bayou Mamas, which does business downtown now as Pops Big Easy. No one is here to speak on that, so I would take a motion to approve this retail on-off sale malt beverage license.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
I'll second it and say the jambalaya was really good there at lunch today.
All right, so I've got a motion, Ward, and a second, Faubourg. Faubourg commented about the jambalaya, which is a good Cajun soup.
No, that's gumbo.
Oh, fine.
Jambalaya is just rice and meat.
Oh, that's right, with little sausages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr.
All right.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Rich.
just a dumb question. Didn't we review this, approve this last week in new business? Or is this something slightly different?
I believe that was scheduling the hearing, and this is the hearing and the approval.
Thank you. You're right.
Consent calendar item last week and a genuine item of new business this week. If no one else has any discussion on this, I'd take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we've got a possible approval of a purchase and implementation of OpenGov budgeting and performance suite for the upcoming years of 2026 through the 2028 year, and authorization for the city manager to sign that master services agreement and order form. Jordan, we talked a little bit about this, kind of a pricey software. What will it do for the city?
Thank you, Mayor. Our current budget process starts roughly in April, May, goes through the course of the summer, and wraps up in October, November when we approve a budget. It's very labor intensive. It's heavily reliant upon spreadsheets and documents that can't be handed off easy or passed between departments. What this software would do is allow real-time collaboration on building a budget document that is more adapted for the 21st century. It allows, like I said, real-time collaboration, but also it integrates everything we do into one document. Right now, our budget is basically comprised of three separate components. An operating budget, a capital budget, and kind of the workforce thing. We treat each thing as a separate part, and finally we pull it all together at the last minute in a budget that comes to council for the first meeting in August. This would put all those things in the same workflow so that when you touch wages, it flows through to the operating budget, so that when you build out a capital improvement plan, it also flows through to that operating budget. It's a very robust software that also has functionality for creating dashboards for staff. Our current financial software is great. We updated recently from Encode 9 to 10, and along with that, we have the opportunity to plug in more functionality, and this is that. We're pulling data. We're able to do cool things that we've never been able to before. This software would put us on par with regional peers, including Brookings Peer. We've talked a lot with them. We know the strengths. We know the weaknesses. We've looked at a lot of software. This is something that Dave and I would recommend strongly, as it'll improve our budget process. It will kind of adapt our budget to the next generation. Our previous finance officer had a process that worked for him. I've evolved it into something that works for me, and this moves it into the future. Dave, would you like to add anything here as well?
Yeah, so, this is a time of year when we evaluate, the performance of many different things. Obviously, our budget is something first and foremost we evaluate the performance with. We look back and see, where maybe opportunities missed or opportunities of future, things that we can do to do better, on our next budget. So, upon taking this position, my conversation with Jordan right away was to find tools or implements that could be not only used in our finance department, but we could be shared department wide to our department heads. Looking at it for many years from the level of a department head, what else existed that would help me, with better planning, better analytical aspects, things that can hold me more accountable and show performance. And then, as Jordan talked about, the planning aspects are pretty important too. So sitting through a demonstration with the company and seeing all the things that this could do, I really think this would be a good product and help our department heads, help me as a city manager, our finance department, kind of integrate a lot of different things. And in the end, as we look back on a year's budget, hopefully we can see better performance in some areas. So I would recommend approval as well.
Move to approve.
I'll second. Got a motion from Councilman Ward, second from Councilman Johnson. Jordan, any learning curve, ancillary expenses, or other things that we're not foreseeing here that are going to slap us when we upgrade to this system?
Through our demos, we've pressed them pretty hard on what the implementation looks like. We've spoke with our regional peers, like I said, so we know what to ask, what to anticipate. We did recently go through that software migration, so I'm confident that our general ledger is in really good shape so that when we build the stuff that talks to our system, it should be pretty darn good. I'm not anticipating any roadblocks. I have high hopes for what we can provide, and I hope to build a budget document that serves the public for years to come.
Mr. Mayor,
All right, go ahead, Councilwoman.
what are we using to maintain records of our income? Like payments that people make, bills people pay, revenue that comes in. Where's that all housed?
Sure. So our primary ERP software is Tyler Technologies Encode 10.
And how does that sync with this?
So that software is a cloud-based software, and this OpenGov will access that software through APIs. I don't know what APIs stand for, but it's a networking term that basically says they talk through the same channels and get the information they need. So that means that during the course of the year, we'll be able to work through a current budget, amend a budget, and look at the real-time expenditures as well through this platform.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
How's the cybersecurity going to work with all the information that's stored in these two systems speaking to each other through APIs?
I'm confident they have security measures through the connection to keep it safe. I could tell you that in order to log into our ERP software, you must have password login credentials. I'm sure this new software will have login credentials as well. So there, I suppose, could be a potential for concern, but it's nothing that should create an obstacle for implementation.
We'll add an exclamation point to the end of the password 123. Everything will be good.
That should fit. Yeah. Password 123 exclamation mark.
That's right. Make a note to anyone that has anything. Go ahead, Councilman
Thank you,
Johnson.
Mayor. Jordan, we see that the costs annually are about $40,000 per year after the implementation. Are we paying any annual fees for our existing software platform?
We are paying an annual fee for our existing ERP software. That software includes everything from permitting in building inspection to payroll. Everything is within the current ERP platform.
Okay, and so will this be layered over that? Okay.
Yes, that's correct. This will be in
additional
addition
fee.
to.
That other fee will be ongoing. And you said other cities within South Dakota are using similar, or is it exact software?
That's correct. The city of Brookings utilizes the same software. So does Pier and Spearfish. Belle Fourche has it as well, but I've not demoed what they've done. Across the region, Oakdale, Minnesota, many cities in Colorado. I've seen what I like. I've seen things I don't like, and I have a path that I'd like to follow.
Sure. One other question.
Go ahead.
So your team spends dozens and dozens, maybe even hundreds of hours in the budgeting process. Can you estimate how this might create efficiencies? And if so, can you estimate, or do you have a desire to see how much time it will be 5, 10, 15% of what you have spent in the past might be trimmed?
I think that this year will be the most difficult as we're implementing January through June, and if we are approved, and it'll go live in June when budget really hits hard. So this will be kind of a double whammy of sorts, getting everything going and building it the way we like it. But I hope to create efficiencies for myself. I can tell you that budget is a significant time commitment for myself, especially. And really the thing that I hope to gain the most is having more time to do things like capital improvement planning. It seems that we rush through the operating budget, and capital is somewhat of an afterthought. So this will allow us to do those items at the same time. So I can't compute or estimate a percentage or an amount of time, but I'm hopeful that it reduces the workload for me. I'm going to rely heavily on departments to implement and utilize this tool, and it should create a platform that really provides more benefit to the public, because not only will it do budget, but you can tie in the KPIs and other indicators for departments so that they can report things on a standard basis.
Yeah. So you're seeing some potential efficiencies for the department heads as well, working with you on budgeting.
Correct. Any department that has a budget could utilize this to serve as their budget. I know some of our departments with boards specifically have a very large document that takes a lot of effort to compile. This could be that budget. It can all be one thing. No need to recreate the wheel here. It's a very intuitive and immersive software. It can serve us and our departments very well.
Very good, thank you.
So speaking to those departments that have the boards to answer to in their separate accounting, are you in a position to be able to walk them through the implementation, or how will that happen? How will those people become acclimated to this software?
I'd provide them access to the software. We have an unlimited number of licenses. I'd incorporate any department into training to learn how to utilize the software. We need to have champions all across the organization. So it's not something I would just push on departments. I'm obviously going to provide support, but it's going to take a little bit of effort on the departments to learn how to use it. But I think with city manager support and a vision of where we can go, I think the departments will be better served by doing this. The council and public as well.
Councilman Econger, did you have a question or statement?
No, my questions were asked.
Okay, Councilman Nilsson, did you have a question or statement?
Yeah, looking at the customer billing service periods, what happens in 2029, Jordan?
We would most likely either, if we're satisfied, look to continue it or find a different provider that could serve in this capacity.
So this initial contract is just a 3-year period?
That is correct.
Okay. I know you had just said you're hoping other departments. Have you spoke with other departments? Is there interest in this from those other departments?
I'll admit I haven't outreached Parks and Rec to know if they'll utilize this software. I know that this will be used by City Hall extensively in building a budget, the city budget. Whether or not the departments choose to utilize this, I would defer to their judgment, but this resource will make capital budgeting, operating budgeting, and personnel budgeting unified and uniform. They will input their budgets into this software, so ultimately they will use it regardless of if they choose to use it on the department level. But I don't. Dave, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah. So speaking from my previous role in public safety, having something like this that can give me the tools to plan, the tools to analyze, the tools to, as Jordan talked about, real time, have a dashboard that I can see, and then evaluate at the end of the year how well I performed in certain areas, and then having that historical knowledge. So having that interaction too, instead of reaching out to finance when I need something or a question, I'm already tied into the system, so I can access this in real time. I think that will be a tremendous benefit. And as Jordan talked about too, the department heads are going to have a lot more ownership, I think, and I think that's what we want to do as department heads. We want to have this investment and be working with Jordan closer for the planning and being accountable to the budget and looking at the year-end opportunities and building that. And so, for instance, this year, moving into this role, we've started to schedule meetings already in January to talk about the budget for 2027 and how we're going to do that. So I feel really good that this is a product that can help us be on the same page, be speaking the same language, and then having the information at our disposal to be able to make these decisions and be able to make adjustments when they're needed. So the demo that we took, gave me a really good comfort level. This would be something I definitely think the departments could utilize, and it would be a success. And then talking about, reducing some of the burden on Jordan and the finance department. If the department heads are more efficient and more fluent in being accountable with their budgets, I'm certain that this will help him in the long term and reduce the amount of hours, sometimes the redundant questions that Jordan has to take as they're helping us work through this. Jordan and I also talked about building out a program for each individual department to kind of talk about citywide financing, how we receive money, how a budget is determined, how it's set, just kind of more of a global understanding of how the city generates funds, its liabilities, its responsibilities. So that's another piece to this too, is doing some training for our department heads and citywide and within our operations, so people have a better understanding of what we're doing and what the money goes and how finite the resources are too. So thank you.
All right, any further questions? I guess we don't have a motion, so why don't we go ahead?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Go. One more.
You can go.
Who will ultimately be the SME on the software?
The finance office would likely be the lead on the software.
Okay.
We would work closely with the city manager to own it, but in terms of the day-to-day, finance would likely be the expert.
Okay, and then how long do you know roughly how long, you said a number of other South Dakota towns are using it. How long have they been around? Is it?
So from my research, OpenGov's been around for a while. I've been having demos from them since like 2018, but I looked at like Oakdale, Minnesota, for instance. I can look through their budget history and see they implemented roughly around 2021. So they've been doing their budget this way for a number of years. Brookings was right around that same time frame. So they're they're one of the bigger names in this sector. They seem to. What makes OpenGov unique is that they are also a provider of the ERP software. So we have Tyler ERP. This is a separate company. So in the future, there could be a potential to look at more of their software, or at least have options available in the future as we explore different softwares and solutions to the way we do government.
Thank you.
All right, I've been incorrect. We did have a motion and a second on this item. So why don't, Jordan, you give us a roll call vote then?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Foberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Nordstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next possible approval of resolution, which would authorize transfer of contingency budget to other line items within the 2025 city budget. There was an amendment to this at the beginning of this meeting. We are no longer just talking about a police line item, but also a couple of TIFs. So, Jordan, why don't you walk us through the $108,000 police department transfer, as well as the money necessary for those two TIFs?
Thank you, Mayor. As we've discussed, executing a budget is very difficult. There are many moving parts. And just when you think you have everything finished in an annual supplement ordinance, you realize that you forgot to include those two police cruisers for $108,000 that were preceding the budget supplement that was on the agenda last week. So in addition to that purchase for vehicles, and since that budget ordinance was passed, we've realized we have additional expenditures related to TIF turbo redemption, which means extra TIF proceeds for two of our TIFs. Those TIFs are doing really well, so we build a budget based on their amortization schedules, but their revenues are coming in excess of the amortization. So in order to pay those pay the increment out, we need additional budgetary authority. Contingency is a weird thing. We use it very rarely, but it's basically not an emergency, but it's a contingency. We are not supplementing a budget. We're transferring budgetary authority from a designated line item to police and to these two debt service funds. I can tell you that in this case, we're not expending uncommitted funds. For the police vehicle, we're using 2026 budget, and for these two TIF debt service items, we're utilizing available increment, but we're having to utilize contingency based on the timing of this request. Staff recommends approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion Ronayne, second Nilsson. Good to have some good news from TIF discussion. Paying off aggressively is always a good sign for those things. Does anyone have any questions? All right, Jordan?
Councilmember Norpstrop.
Aye.
Nilsson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, possible approval to authorize purchase of 45 desktops and 24 laptop computers from Byte Speed of Moorhead, Minnesota, $77,424 outlined in this packet. Jordan, tell us about these computers.
These computers will serve various departments throughout the city. We were fortunate to put this request out before headlines hit regarding the increased price in RAM. So we're recommending approval of this quote based on the need, but also we're very fortunate to get a quote in before what would appear to be skyrocketing costs for computer and computer hardware.
Move to approve.
Motion Ward, second Knobstrup. Any questions? Jordan?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Norpstrop.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, possible approval of a well field lease for some water, 20-year lease term. Stu, why don't you walk us through what that agreement looks like?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. So this agreement is for the Jacobs well field and Jacobs pit, which is adjacent to our Ice Stone pit, approximately 6 miles north of Aberdeen along the Elm River. If you drive straight north on Roosevelt Street, you'd drive right into this. We have 2 wells on this property that we installed back in the early 2000s. I think the beginning of the original lease was around 2004. We've revised from the original lease agreement that we had. We've revised the amount of water that would be the maximum limit from 500 million to 250 million gallons per year. It's a little bit more in line with what it is that we're actually able to get from these wells. We're going to also look at the ability to actually use the pit that's there and pump water directly out of that pit and into our Ice Stone pit where we have wells as well. So we're going to do some experimenting and see if that maybe is a way that we could provide a little bit higher flows out of this property. But we reconditioned both of these wells earlier this summer, right about when the lease expired. So we're excited to get back in there and start pumping water to be used this winter.
So Stu, 30,000, what was that amount prior to this agreement?
It started out at 25,000 a year and had a 4% escalation. I believe it was around, I don't know if you can, Ron, if you remember that number, it was around 60,000.
That sounds correct.
Yeah.
In the last year of the old lease, it was
Right.
in that range. Rob and Bob Zine had negotiated the original lease back in 2004. It was part of these conversations and meeting with Bob Jacobs on this, and it was determined that the 30,000. And again, while there's a maximum in the contract, there is the ability, if it does appear that it's pumping better than we thought, to pump additional water and simply pay by the 1,000-gallon increment for that.
And that Ice Stone pit gets transported by pipe, or that gets emptied into the Elm River to?
There is a pipeline that runs from Ice Stone pit over to the water plant.
So this from Jacobs goes into that same pipeline?
This is connected to that. The wells are.
All right. Take a motion from the council if someone was so inclined to approve that lease
Move to
agreement.
approve.
Second.
Motion Renee, second Johnson. Any questions for Stu? Go ahead, Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wondering, is this like a smaller regional aquifer, or is this part of the Midwest Ogallala one?
This is part of the Elm Aquifer. So
Okay.
it's if I remember my geology correctly, which is a little sketchy, it is the aquifer above the Ogallala.
Okay. And
It's a very shallow aquifer, follows
basically the river, as you might imagine.
Sure. Okay. Are there other entities that draw from the aquifer besides the city?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, other than there could be some agricultural use that's coming out of it, but no other municipalities as far as I know.
Thank you.
Jordan?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Nilsson,
Aye.
Econger,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Hoberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Stu. Next, possible approval to write off uncollectible, unpaid ambulance accounts. Joel Weig with the fire department is here to talk about that. A couple $100,000. Joel, how are you feeling about it?
How am I feeling about that? That's about normal for the past 5-6 years. That's about where we've been at each year. Aberdeen Ambulance, Advanced Care Ambulance, has responded to over 3,100 EMS calls this past year. Our EMS billing specialist has invoiced 2,431 claims for those calls for a $1,233.233 million worth of claims. Excuse me. And despite our vigorous collection efforts by our staff, $202,722.10 remain delinquent. Of that, $1,872.04 was deemed uncollectible due to circumstances such as patient's death, minimum billing balances, and filing limitations. The remaining $200,900.06 we would turn over to a collection agency to try and recoup those funds. And staff recommends approval of us turning those over.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion Liebelt, second Econger. So in the past, we've turned over about the same amount in the last handful of years. What has been the result of that? Chief, have we seen some good collection results from these collection agencies?
Sure, I've got those numbers here for you. In 2025, we've recouped $8,320.66. In 2024, we've recouped $13,243.13. And in the 2023, we've recouped $11,695.48.
So that's about 5%. Do
That
we
is correct. Yep,
pay the
right at 5%.
collection agency whether or not they collect, or they just take their fee out of the collection?
So the dollar amounts that I just gave you, that's our portion. The collection agency keeps 25%.
But they don't get paid otherwise.
They don't get paid otherwise.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Appreciate that.
Can I add something on this, just so the council has a little context? I know that other cities, of course, within the state have these same kinds of issues. And in a correspondence I had with a city attorney for a much larger municipality, we were informed that our collection rates are outstanding for the city of Aberdeen.
That's the 200,000 versus the 1.2 million. Not
But a percentage of the total, yes. The fact that we're collecting almost 80% of those outstanding, whereas other cities are in the 50 to 35% range of collections. So this is really very, very good work on the part of Lisa and the Aberdeen Fire and Rescue.
Thank you.
All right, would someone care to make a motion on writing off those uncollected? Oh, where am I here tonight? Sorry about that. Any other questions from the council before we take a roll call vote then? Jordan, would you give us a roll call?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Nordstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks for joining us, Joel. Good to see you as always. Next, we've got a possible approval to purchase 2 Silverados, 1-ton long box pickups from Lamb Chevrolet of Oneida. This is using the state contract, of course. Stu, what will be using these Silverados for?
Thank you, Mayor. So these, one of these trucks will go to our traffic control department, and one will go to the utility water department. The size of these trucks, we typically use these, we mount a utility box on them. They're used for service work and that type of stuff. We did reach out to local dealerships to try to see if we could purchase them locally, and we were unable to do that, so we went to Lamb Chevrolet for these. I believe we originally had about $55,000 budgeted for these, so they're coming in a little bit under budget as well, so we'd recommend approval of the purchase.
Move to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion from Councilwoman Liebelt, second Councilman Johnson. Any questions for Mr. Nelson?
And the old units?
So in this case, I believe both of the old units, Jeremy tells me that one of them's a 2007 and the other one couldn't remember the exact age, but around 20 years old, and they'll both be surplused. They've outlived their useful life, so.
Thank you. Stu, Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote on those 2 Silverados?
Councilmember Nordstrup.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Another one for you, Stu. This is a possible approval of our USGS joint funding agreement for stream gauging stations and groundwater monitoring. This is something we do each and every year. How's that equipment been keeping up?
We already voted on this.
We previously have, I think, paid for 2024's contract, and this would be the contract for end of 25 and 26. So yes, this is something that we do every year. We use these stream gauging stations for information when we're in flood fight situations and to kind of monitor river levels to, be prepared if something happens. And we typically will split the cost of this, our share of it, with the county, with emergency management. So it's a pretty good deal for us to do this. And then once we approve this agreement, USGS will invoice us at a later date. So you'll get to see this one more time.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion, Ronayne, second Ward. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Nordstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Final item of new business for the evening. We've got a possible approval of towing services agreement between Brown County Regional Communication Center and the City of Aberdeen. Chief John Dahl, tell us about this towing service agreement, please.
Yeah, thank you. Every few years, we have to kind of readdress the towing services needed for primarily public safety needs for the Sheriff's Office, the Police Department, and the Highway Patrol. This is directed through Brown County Communications, so it's a joint agreement through all 3 agencies. But it basically sets the regulations that are required for the towing services that are expected for all of us. Really, the largest change we have compared to previous agreements is just the fees that are being charged, kind of with inflation and other expenses. But otherwise, there are no significant changes with that. We'd recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion Johnson, second Econger, and then roughly as a percentage, if you could estimate what sort of a fee increase are you talking about, Chief?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I would estimate ballpark about 10 to 15% increase.
And the fees are gonna remain constant for this 3-year period in which this agreement is.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote then, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we have the review and approval of our claims and payroll bills, of course, for this week, but then the payroll pay period is for December 14th through December 27th. Take a motion to pay the bills.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion Ward, second Econger. Any questions or comments to be had before we take our final roll call vote of the evening? Jordan?
Councilmember Ronayne.
I abstain as to payment to Plains Commerce Bank and vote aye on all other bills.
Councilmember Fauberg.
I abstain as to payment to Dakota Bank and vote aye on everything else.
Councilmember Liebelt.
Aye for all.
Ward.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Econger.
Aye.
Nelson.
Abstain on payment to Banner Associates, and aye.
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we've got our city manager's report. What have you got, Dave?
Yeah, so thank you. Today we celebrated Corey Pickrell's 20-year anniversary with the police department. He's been with us and done an outstanding job with the movement and changes in the police department. Currently, he's in charge of our investigators, our detective division. Really excited about that, and continues to be a really great employee for the city and the department, so we thank him for his service. As you're aware, our Thursday and Friday, our offices will be closed for our holiday Christmas season. And with that, though, we also, want to end out the year saying thanks to our city staff for all the things that they've done over the course of the year. And we know that we have city staff and public safety in our plants and just about every city department that are going to be working or going to be on call, maybe called out. And we just want to thank them and their families for their commitment and sacrifice for what they're going to be doing and working on the holidays for us. And we appreciate that. And with that, that's all I have.
Great. Thank you to Corey Pickrell. Appreciate your length of service to the community. Really appreciate that. Stu, tell us about that 10th Avenue Bridge. High school kids are now asking me about that. It's gone beyond the senior citizens that are normally concerned.
Once again, I think the weather really wreaks havoc with these guys when we had the wind and stuff that we had last week, midweek. And, I did not get an opportunity to get down there. Normally I have Destin be my eyes and ears there, and he is off this week. So
I ran across it last night. The pedestrian guards are up, but there was an excavator sitting on the end of it, so I think cars could get by.
Right. So I will find out tomorrow, and as soon as I know, I'll let you know.
I appreciate it. Looking forward to good news on that front. Anyone else have anything? Okay, we do have an executive session to talk about a contractual matter, so why don't we take just a few minutes to clear the room and maybe catch up on sleep a little bit so we aren't bumbling around with these motions like I've been all meeting.